Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am AB along with Jack, and we are the Stream Catchers. Jack, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real good. How are you?
Feeling good, feeling great. We are talking about episode 3 of Hawkeye. We're halfway through our show already. And I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I am very excited to do this episode.
Yeah, this was a good one.
It was a
We
banger,
find
yeah.
yeah, we got the car chase scene.
We got the car chase scene. We saw some trick arrows. We got some backstory on some characters. We also got a fun uncle mention, which we will absolutely
Mhm.
dive into.
Mhm.
So let's just jump in here. We'll do quick hits. I'll throw it off to you for thoughts, and we'll riff from there. How about that?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. Again, as you always know, we're going to talk about everything that happened in the episodes. There will be heavy spoilers, so this is your last warning. But if you want to stick around and don't care, feel free. Episode 3 opens up with Maya Lopez's backstory and how much she loved her dad all the way from a child. We also get a shot of Ronan killing her father as she is an adult, which sets her on a path for revenge. This fast forwards to where we left off on episode 2, where Clint and Kate are held up in a defunct KB Toys factory. After a fun battle with Kate, Clint, and the Tracksuit Mafia, Kate and Clint escape using Clint's array of trick arrows, and then they decide to join forces to bring down the tracksuits. They go to Eleanor's penthouse to use her security system to get info on Jack and Kazi, one of the main tracksuit guys. When Clint walks off and has the Ronin sword against his throat by Jack as the episode ends. So, our Jack, what did you think? Give me your
Hey.
thoughts.
I think that this episode was super, super entertaining. A lot of action. This was probably the most actiony episode. And the bulk of our exposition is backstory, right?
Yep.
Backstory on Maya. And it was good. It was good, interesting backstory. We know that she's either been deaf since she was a small child or forever.
Yep.
We know she's got a prosthetic leg,
Yep.
which she used. I didn't catch it the first time around, but I watched the episode the second time, and Hawkeye smacks her with I think it was a hockey stick, breaks it
Yeah.
right over
Oh,
the
wow.
prosthetic leg, and he gets confused.
I never made that connection. That's
Yeah,
funny. Okay.
I caught it on the second watch. I was like, oh man, what a good implementation of the prosthetic.
Yeah, well, and I didn't even catch it when she was a kid in the karate dojo. But I obviously I saw it when you see her much older in the
Yeah,
boxing ring training.
yeah.
But yeah, we got so much on Maya, which is great. And I mean, they only really took 7 minutes to give us the backstory, but it's all they needed to
Mm-hmm.
automatically give us really all that we need to know for her without giving away probably too much. And
Mm-hmm.
also sets her up to, I mean, obviously, I mean, I think I care about her quite a bit just by seeing that little bit. She seems like an important character, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where her character goes.
Yeah, I'm interested in her. I think there's probably a key detail of her past that they're leaving out, because I mean, we don't know how she came to be one-legged, if she was born that way, if there was
Right.
some accident. But I mean, even like after her dad's death, there could be something we don't know about her past. And I think that's kind of exciting about our villain, our quote unquote villain. We'll see where that goes. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think 7 minutes was just enough time to get us rolling on Maya. And it was kind of a big chunk of the episode, really. This was the shortest one at what, 39 minutes,
It's about 40 minutes.
including the credits. So
Yeah, this episode moved by so quick, and I kind of skimmed through it a second watch around as well. And by the time they were in the car chase scene, the episode was halfway over, or at least it was like
yeah.
they were at least wrapping that up. And I remember by the time that the Jack had the sword to Clint's throat, I had just lost track of time, and
Yeah.
so I kind of said out loud, "Wait, what? No!" Like I was
Yeah.
so hungry for more.
Yes, this was the first one where the cliffhanger got me, and I was like, credits already? Are you
Yeah,
serious?
I expected like 10 more minutes of show because
Yeah,
they're in the
yeah.
penthouse. You assume it was going to be the part where Clint and Kate are talking to Jack and Eleanor, but obviously
Hmm.
that's going to be this next episode. But yeah, I think so far the show has been my favorite of the whole Phase 4 shows, at least.
Okay.
And I think this episode did great to make you care about Maya, make you
Yeah.
care about Clint. The action was great. and they're planting more seeds for the rest of the show that are really keeping me intrigued. So I think this episode did a lot of everything, and it was easily my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, there was that little bit of a tearjerker moment where he's trying
Yeah.
to talk to his youngest son on the phone, and he can't hear at all. So
Yeah.
Kate's helping, translate. She's writing down what's coming through on the phone, and he tears up. She tears up. It's a very emotional moment, and he doesn't. He even has the line, "It's good to hear your voice." He can't hear it at all.
Yeah. They did a
And
lot with that too, the whole hearing aid story, because obviously Maya sees that when she first walks up on them in the warehouse, and then
yeah,
of course she smashes it, and then they turn it into like a comedic part where he's trying to communicate with Kate and she's talking to him, but he can't hear when they're in the car and on the
yeah,
subway, and then of course
yes,
that moment as well. I really didn't expect them to have that be a theme in the show, but it's honestly made at least an interesting part of his character at this point in his Marvel Avengers career.
yeah. It almost seems like they're that they've done that so that Echo can have something in common with Hawkeye. I don't know how that's going to lead to anything, but it's interesting
Yeah,
that
well,
our
I know that
hero
they
and our villain would be hearing impaired.
yeah, and in the run from the comics that they are basing the show around, the Matt Fraction run, he actually had a hearing aid in that run as well. So I think that's a part of it. I think the adaptation, the comic accuracy, and I also think that it does help to have some sort of, I hate, probably not a great word, but like a handicap, so to speak, that he
Yeah.
has something to overcome, because he's an Avenger, right? Even though he doesn't have
Hmm.
superpowers, he's a main character in the show, and so he's facing off against guys in tracksuits that say "bro" all the time, and a newer character that we aren't that familiar with quite yet. So it does help that he has something that he has to overcome as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been a really interesting part of the show so far.
I think it's cool that it's a very human thing too, right? Because
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of our superheroes, deal with more superhero setbacks, but it's
right.
kind of interesting to see it on a more human level.
Right, because like you talk about Thor back in the first Thor, he just didn't have Mjolnir. That was his one
Right.
major handicap. And then Captain Marvel, she had the inhibitor. That was her sort of thing in Captain Marvel. So yeah, this is a
Yeah.
very human and almost in some ways relatable thing. I mean, I don't know how I would be if I all of a sudden lost my hearing. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's been a really great addition to his character. I think I think we should definitely pivot though to the elephant in the room and
Okay.
talk about the very obvious and blatant Kingpin
You
is
want to talk
coming.
about Uncle Kingpin?
Uncle Willie D, everybody. Kingpin, he's coming.
Yeah,
He's coming. That's him.
I'm 100% in. I believe it. Yep.
For sure. As soon as you saw the guy walking up, he puts his arm out. You can see the cuff link, which we know from Daredevil. That's a big part of his character. And
Hmm.
if that wasn't Vincent D'Onofrio's laugh, I, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one thing. Like, if they were trying to keep it a secret, that's the one thing they shouldn't have done. But
Mm,
I'm glad they did it, because it just makes me so much more excited.
yeah. So you do you think we'll see him in the finale, or what do you think his role will be in the show?
I think it'll definitely be a finale reveal, maybe episode 5.
Okay.
I
Maybe a good cliffhanger.
Right. I think when we talked about our Hawkeye preview, I speculated that based on all the rumors that he was going to be in the show, and I thought that maybe, just maybe, if they were trying to tie this into Spider-Man at all,
Hmm.
this would be the way they introduce him, and that he would be one of the villains in Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Whether or not that happens is probably not likely unless he debuts next week. Next week's
Yeah.
episode 4. Week after would be episode 5. That's the week Spider-Man comes out. So I can't see them introducing him in episode 5 and then Spider-Man the next day, right? They wouldn't do that. And they wouldn't introduce him in Spider-Man and then have him come in Hawkeye in episode 6 if there's tie-in, right? So I think that either we see him next week, episode 4, or he's one of the last things we see in episode 6.
Either way, yeah, either way would be super cool. I don't think he'll be in Spider-Man just because of how many villains are already in
Right.
Spider-Man. Um, but as far as his role, as far as him being in Hawkeye, I think that it would be a sweet episode 5 cliffhanger, and then maybe more of a lead in to what's coming next. At the end of episode 6, maybe not a cliffhanger, but like a scene towards the end having to do with Kingpin's life, separate from the Hawkeye story. You know what I mean?
Sure. I am really curious to see how they're going to handle it, because here are the things that we know. Obviously, he hasn't been officially revealed, but we can all say that's Kingpin, right?
Right.
We know that in the show he is her uncle, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that he is a major head of organized crime. We know that we have an Echo show coming, and we know that she eventually becomes a hero, both in the comics and will become a hero in the MCU, I'm sure. So we can assume that Kingpin will probably be in Echo, the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that's the case, this would be the place to set that up, right?
Absolutely.
So I would say that we will find out something in this show that turns Echo against Kingpin and wants to pivot from revenge against the Ronin and direct that towards Kingpin.
I think you're onto something. I think that you're probably right, or very, very close.
Yes.
I imagined, because it would be very hard to open the Echo show with her being a villain. I think that her turn has to be in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see Kingpin being the big bad of this season of Hawkeye, though.
I think that, like, in terms, he is by proxy the big bad, since he's the head of everything that's going on. But there's not going to be this Carly Morgenthau, John Walker, Captain America fight with Kingpin.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to see that. I think it'll be something along the lines of, well, here's my theory, actually. Okay, here's my theory based on what we have so far.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in this episode Ronan kill Maya's dad.
Yeah.
But what if that wasn't Clint?
I mean, I guess we don't know for sure that Clint was operating alone. We assume it, right? But I mean, anybody could be under the mask at any time, I suppose. What do you have a theory about who it would be?
It's a stretch. I will admit it's a stretch. But
I'm ready for it.
I think it could have been Jack.
No. Well, he wanted to get the sword, and he got the sword.
He's got a fascination with the sword, and the Ronin in general, it appears, right?
We didn't get the opportunity to see if he was going to bid on the suit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and so if you go back and watch that episode, or that scene where Ronin's in there killing the tracksuits and ends up killing Maya's dad, you don't see his face at all. Now, it makes sense because from Maya's perspective, she wouldn't have seen that. She doesn't know. But we know that he was. So it doesn't make sense for them to hide that from us.
Yeah.
It also, if you look at it, and this could just be because it's a stunt double, but it doesn't really look like Clint's body type.
Okay. I hadn't noticed that, but
I was looking for it on the rewatch, and maybe I'm just like seeing too much, right?
I get it.
It could ultimately end up being Clint. My thing here is, how do we get from Maya hating Clint and wanting to kill him or whoever the Ronin is, to she becomes a hero / Avenger? Well, I'm just assuming she's going to be an Avenger in the MCU. She was in the comics.
Yeah.
Working with Clint. Like, I don't see how she would forgive him and the people he works with if he does turn out to end up being the one that killed Maya's dad.
Yeah. So what's going to turn Maya, I guess, is
finding out who really killed her father.
The $1 million question.
Yeah.
Or if it was Clint, or if it was Clint, like what's going to be the thing that makes her forgive him? Or
Right.
are you dead set on it wasn't Clint?
It's
How into that
it,
theory are you?
I'm pretty into it. I kind of feel like we'll get to a point where somehow, some way, Kingpin ordered the hit on her dad, and that's how she turns on Kingpin. Because
I like that.
in the comics, Kingpin does kill her father, adopts her as his son, and then
Hmm.
she finds out from Daredevil that he killed her father. And so obviously they're not perfectly copying this from the comics, but it would make sense that we know Kingpin's in the show.
Yeah.
If he ordered the kill, or if he was at all tied to the kill, that she would want revenge against him and forgive Clint.
Yeah, I mean, if Kingpin's hiding anything from her about that event, she's going to be pissed, no matter what it is, no matter how small it is. Yeah.
Exactly. There was even a line. Um, Maybe I didn't write it down. Okay, so Kazi said something about we don't want to cause trouble for Uncle,
Yeah.
and he also said that um, Maya's dad. What was it? What if Kingpin tried to do it? I can't remember what exactly it was, but it was something along the lines of, oh, it was Maya's dad always does what's right for the tracksuits, and maybe that was in conflict with
Hmm.
Kingpin's interests for whatever
Hmm.
reason, and
Yeah.
that is why he wanted him dead.
Yeah, because Kingpin's more of a big picture guy.
Right? Maybe he just wanted to get rid of the tracksuits in general,
Yeah.
and because
Maybe. Yeah.
when
Maybe
you
he
think about
wanted to
it, they're
take
like a
over. Maybe he needed a new boss. Maybe he needed somebody who wouldn't defy Kingpin as much as, maybe a
yeah,
because it seemed like Maya's dad and Kingpin were tight, and if they were tight, then Maya's dad was probably comfortable standing up to Kingpin, and Kingpin's not going to take that.
exactly. And
Yeah,
when you look at the rest of the tracksuits, they're kind of idiots when you really
kind
break
of.
it
Yeah,
down. And
yeah,
so
they're goons. Yeah.
and he has ties to so many different things, right? So he could there. That's a very easily disposable group. I could see that, and maybe it was Clint, and he went to Kingpin, and Kingpin said, "Hey, you dispose of these guys, whatever, and I'll back off on this or whatever the case is." I think there's something there, though. I'm just trying to get the gears turning a bit.
Yeah, I like your theory. I don't buy into it, but I think it's fun to think. I think here's what I'm thinking. I think that it was Clint, but there's like a huge piece of information that we don't have that Maya doesn't have. That if Maya knew, it'd be different. I don't think she's going to forgive Clint or whatever, but I think she's going to understand.
I
Maybe
think so. I think that's fair.
I think that the scene where he goes in and messes up the tracksuits and then kills her dad. The way that scene is shot through, her perspective with no context. I think that was a really good way to make us feel for Maya.
Yeah,
But I think that at some point we're gonna see what Clint's motivation was for that scene.
I think so too. Because I mean, at this point, he still hasn't come clean to Kate that he was Ronin.
Which he has to. That's
He's
got to
he's
be part of it.
he's going to, and I feel like that's going to give us the other pieces that were missing from that scene
Yeah,
that we saw. So
I think that him coming out as Ronin to Kate is also going to be part of him, like mentoring her, warning her, about some of the costs that he was
yeah,
talking about in the diner.
absolutely, I think so too. So I really like how many little threads that they've got going on in this show and how they're really keeping us guessing, which all of the shows really have done a great job of. And this one feels like we're not going to get Ralph Bonard or Sharon Carter. It feels like we're gonna
Power
get
broker.
kingpinned.
Yeah, yeah. Mephistoed.
We're still waiting on Mephisto. We're still waiting on him.
Yeah.
So there was also a scene at the end where Kate and Clint are in Eleanor's penthouse hacking into
Yeah.
her security system. And we see that Kazi was tied to a company called Sloan's Limited.
Okay.
Did you catch that? Did you have anything with that at
I
all?
I heard it and meant to Google it, and I didn't.
I did. There wasn't really anything. There was definitely nothing Sloane's Limited Marvel tied. There are
Okay.
various small minor characters with the name Sloane. So I don't think it's anything like that.
Okay.
I think it's like a shell company that she uses on the books. Eleanor does
Okay.
to fund the maybe the tracksuits, or maybe she's working with Kingpin in some capacity. Because I wrote this down as well. When Eleanor and Armand were doing that secretive thing where he was threatening her, I think in
Yes.
episode 1, Armand says, "I should have known this empire was built in a lie." And Eleanor says, "By myself from the ground up, so whatever you think you saw was not true." And he says, "I've got powerful friends too, the kind you don't want to mess with." So you could take that two ways, really. One, you could take it that Armand's powerful friend was Kingpin, or you
Hmm.
could take it as Armand found out that Eleanor was working with Kingpin,
Hmm.
and maybe he was talking about that Sloane's Limited, and that's how she made her money, was through illegal, I
Yeah.
don't know, laundering or anything or something
Well,
like that.
yeah. I mean, that definitely seems like some of the highbrow, white collar criminal activity that Eleanor would be into. That would be all
Right.
about. Yeah. Yeah. So, which way do you think it would go? Do you think that Armand was allied with Kingpin, or do you think Eleanor was allied with Kingpin? It's hard to
I, I,
tell.
I think Eleanor. I do, because I don't trust her. I think she's really shady. We know that
Hmm.
we know that Jack is shady, right?
Yeah.
And we know that both of them have something weird going on, whether that's separately or in unison.
Hmm.
Both of them seem to be the villains of this show
Yes.
in some way. And
Hmm.
so it would
And
really
I'm going to
only make,
guess in different ways. I'm going to guess that their shadiness is separate and that neither of them know.
okay.
Or
I
maybe
like
they know a
that.
little bit, but yeah, I think that they're going to be two different. Yeah.
I like that because I think the opposite. So
Okay. Perfect.
I like us
Perfect.
having a different thing. So
Yeah.
I think that I feel like that they probably met somehow through some criminal activity. Maybe I keep pointing everything back to Kingpin. Somebody's not tied to him at some point, right? But right, not
It's easy
everybody,
to do.
but
It's easy to do, especially because it's a character that you want to see in the show. It's easy to
exactly.
form all of your theories around that.
Exactly. And I don't want to be Mephistoed here where I think we're about to get this crazy reveal and then it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we can safely say Kingpin's definitely going to be in the show and behind something. And I think that if Jack did kill Armand and was also posing as the Ronin and killed Maya, that would lead him.
Maya's dad.
I'm sorry, yes, Maya's dad.
Yeah.
That if that's all what it actually is, and that's not just me thinking crazy wild theories.
Yeah.
If he was the same guy that did both murders, that means he's definitely tied to Kingpin, and I
For
feel
sure.
like Eleanor for sure is tied to Kingpin.
Okay.
I feel like that's the thing I feel the most strong about, is that Eleanor
See,
is
I
tied to
would,
Kingpin.
I think that that would be the perfect opportunity to split Eleanor from Jack, and for Kate to still have a redeemable mom.
I don't think she's going to be redeemed. I don't think
No,
so. I think she's a shady bitch. I don't. I think
it's
she's.
Kate's mom. It's Kate's only living parent.
And we're talking about a comic book show where that's not a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. We haven't even talked about Kate's dad this episode. I wish. I really think he's alive. They didn't cast any light on that though for this episode.
They
And they didn't have
didn't.
Yelena. We didn't even talk about that. They didn't have Yelena in this one.
I've got her written down. Yeah, I wasn't
Man.
expecting her. I'm expecting her as a cliffhanger for episode 4.
Okay. Okay. I hope it's in 4, because if they wait too long, it'll be. I mean, they'll be shoehorning a lot of stuff in at the end, assuming they're going to do a big Kingpin reveal.
Right. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what role she and Kingpin both have. But while we're sticking on Yelena, they did a mid-season trailer where they teased a masked figure with like
Okay.
green eyes and they were like, it was like night vision. And so there was
Okay.
like 3 green dots above that and then 2 green dots as the eyes.
Okay.
And I think that's, most people think that's going to be Yelena, because in the comics, her her suit or whatever has a mask that has
Hmm.
the green dots all
Okay.
over the. So that seems like that might be her. It was at night. We know there's going to be a scene where Clint and Kate are scaling a building of some kind. It
Hmm.
seems like maybe she may jump in and intercept. Kate even has a line where she's like, "Who's that?" So that's got to be Yelena. And I would
Okay.
imagine Yelena is going to come in and try to out Clint as Ronin, which will turn up the heat, I think, for the tracksuits, because he told them that Ronin was dead. So
Right.
we're
Yeah,
we're headed towards.
it's still hard to speculate. I mean, we're halfway through, which seems impossible because it's really only been, you know, a week of time since we got the the first episode. But
I know.
um, they've all been bangers, man. This show's really good. I would say better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, better than Loki, maybe better than, I don't know though. I really
It
like
is
WandaVision.
absolutely better than WandaVision. WandaVision
I'm
was
gonna
the
reserve.
worst of the
Oh
shows.
no, no.
Yes.
The best though. I mean, I think the best has been What If still.
I would go, if we're taking Hawkeye out, I would go Falcon, Winter Soldier, What If, Loki, WandaVision, with this one
Wow.
having potential to
Okay.
be the
Yeah,
top
our
one.
show list is much different.
Yeah, I cannot believe you like WandaVision as much as you do. To
Mm.
each his own, but that
It's a
was.
fun show, man. It's a fun show. I can't wait to watch it again. Actually.
But yeah, I think Elaine is coming again. I think she's going to have a fairly minor role in the show. It's probably just going to be another, hey, don't forget about Yelena.
Yeah.
Um, and then maybe a quick tease to what we can expect from her in the future. But I don't
Yeah.
expect her to be just like Kingpin. I mean, when we finally do see him, I don't think it's going to be this big thing. It'll probably just be a fun reveal. He might have some fun dialogue with Clint. Who knows?
I
But
hope there's a
it'll be
cool.
cool.
I hope there's a cool post-credits scene for the last episode. I think that
For
would
sure, there
be.
will be.
I think that would be fun for this show.
There's been one in all of them, right? Except
All of
maybe
them except
Loki.
for Loki, I think.
I remember
What was
WandaVision
the
had
one in?
2.
Yes, WandaVisions were. Yeah, yeah. What was the Falcon and Winter Soldier one?
Was it Sharon Carter talking on the phone?
Was that post credits or was
Or was
that the
that before
very?
credits?
No, I think you're right.
No,
I
that
think
was
that was
post
like,
credits. Because the
yeah, or
last
at
the
least
last thing
mid
you
credits.
because the last thing you
Yeah.
see is Bucky and not Clint, Sam, just
Yes.
like at the barbecue. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that
And
that
yeah, yeah,
Sharon
yeah.
was a post
Okay.
credit scene. So we'll probably
Okay.
get one.
Probably.
I couldn't believe we didn't get one in Loki. That would have been the perfect place to do one. But
Yeah. And maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't think I am though. I think it was it. I
unless
think it
the
was
unless the Kang statue, but I felt like that was how they ended the episode.
no, that's how they ended the episode.
That's what I
With
thought.
him getting back to with Loki getting back to the TVA and nobody recognizes him and there's a
Yeah.
Kang statue. Yeah.
The
I'm
the
pretty sure
only
that's how it
thing they
ended.
did for Loki was they showed that there was going to be a season 2.
Yeah.
That was their like mid credits thing, but
Yeah.
that doesn't count. All right. Well, I think that's all I really have for this episode. I mean, we touched on everything: Kingpin, Maya's
Yeah.
backstory. I thought this was really, it was a setup episode, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
giving us more information on Maya. We're getting a little bit more depth on Clint and Kate. We're seeing them come together. Clues towards Kingpin. We're
Mm-hmm.
Uncle if we don't want to say Kingpin quite yet, but it's Kingpin, folks.
Yeah, it
But
is.
for a setup episode, this was a great one. It was the best episode so far, and I would be remiss if I didn't shout out the Pym arrow.
Wasn't that cool? I mean, so we've seen the car chase, not in its
Yeah,
entirety
no,
already, but we saw probably half, I would say, of the car chase. The second half of the car chase was just as good as the first half, and to have the finale be the Pym arrow, super cool, super badass, super unexpected, and then that Kate gets to do the jump off the structure,
yeah,
spin, shoot the arrow, and swing in. just like she saw Clint do, whatever in 2012 at the
Yeah.
Avengers. Like that was so cool.
Yeah, so when we saw the car chase scene in that Disney Plus Day 15-minute special on Disney Plus, they
Hmm.
did show that part where they jump off the bridge, but they didn't show the Pym arrow, obviously, which I'm glad they
Hmm.
didn't. And I feel like there were a few other arrow spots they didn't share. I don't think they did the one where it shot the wires out and brought the trees in on Kazi's
They didn't
truck,
show that one, and I don't. Did they? They didn't show the
the putty.
purple goo arrow, the putty arrow. Yeah.
I don't remember that either. And so
Hmm.
I was really glad that they had withheld stuff from that
Yes.
because yeah, that was such a great scene, and having had already seen a lot of it, you're kind of like, well, I kind of wish they would have saved this for the show.
Yeah.
And they did. So thank you
Yeah.
guys
Well,
for that
it's
because
so good that they had to show you something of that scene, because that's
right.
like I mean that's a huge selling point for the trailer.
Yeah, and it was so well done. I mean, as soon as they take off and they have that single shot for a good solid minute or two where there's no cuts, no edits, it's just
Hmm.
one shot and the camera's getting out with Kate. It was
Yeah.
so well shot. And then yeah, all the trick arrows and then like I said earlier on, where you've got them trying to communicate back and forth. He can't hear her, and she's
Uh-huh.
like, "What's this one
We're
doing?" He's like,
communicating.
"Yeah,
Not at all, not even a little bit.
it was so well done." And the Pym arrow, I just got such a kick out of that. That was so well.
Yeah.
What I love so much about that is it's kind of what we've talked about in the past, how Marvel has done such a great job of establishing all these small little pockets of this universe where you can
Hmm.
just have little things like that pop up, and then
Hmm.
we just know what it is. Like, oh, Hank Pym made an arrow for Clint. That's pretty cool. I love stuff like that. It's like this
Yeah.
that was really the first thing that made me feel like this was an Avengers show.
Yeah. 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 I love that stuff. And
Yeah.
they've mentioned the Avengers compound in almost
Yeah.
every episode. I think all 3 episodes. I do still think there's something with that watch.
He mentioned, yeah, he's like, it's weird and something along to the effect of it's weird that we have stuff in the Avengers compound floating around.
Yeah. Yeah. So just them mentioning it one more time, reminding us about it,
Yep.
reminding the audience about
Something
it,
to
makes
it.
me know that there's something extra to that.
Right.
I
Whether there's
can't
like
wait.
some blueprints in it or there's something with it, right? Who knows?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
well, for episode 4, we can look forward to more Uncle Clues, a
Hmm.
hopeful Yelena appearance. Maybe we'll get more on the watch. Hopefully we
We're
find out more
definitely gonna
about
learn about Jack.
we're going to
That's
learn about Jack.
yeah.
I hope that we see some tension between him and Clint, and maybe is some backstory between those two there. And
Hmm.
then hopefully we can find out more about this Sloan's Limited as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, we appreciate you for tuning in with us. We hope you enjoyed Hawkeye episode 3 as much as we did. We will be back next week for episode 4. But until then, make sure you leave a like on YouTube, leave us a comment, subscribe if you can. It really helps us out a lot. If you want to share the podcast, links to our social media accounts are in the show notes. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think of the theories. And until next time, folks, keep on keeping on.
I got a quick shout out to
Oh,
wrap up
yeah.
the episode. 2 friends and viewers of the show, they shared, the what am I trying to say? The Spotify end of year wrap up or whatever.
Yeah.
2 of our viewers have us in their top 5 podcasts,
All
so they shared
right.
that with me. I felt a little extra special, so I just feel like I should shout out TJ and Britt.
TJ and Britt, thank you both so much. We appreciate the support. It's great to find out that you're enjoying the podcast every week. And yeah, thanks for including us in your top rotation for podcasts. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
All righty. Well, until next time, we will catch you later.